Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Reactive Dog Chats. Today, we're talking all about muzzle training and using muzzles with reactive or aggressive, sensitive, fearful dogs. We're going to be answering questions like, should we muzzle train your dog? And how do we condition your dog to enjoy wearing a muzzle? And we'll also have time to talk about the top muzzles that I recommend with my clients. Are you ready? Let's get started. If your dog has ever shown any kind of aggressive behavior towards people or other dogs or other animals, then I think it's a really good idea to condition them to wear a muzzle. You just never know when you might need it. And it's really nice to have the tool should a situation arise when it would be helpful. The most common time for our reactive dogs to wear a muzzle is when they go to the vet. My dog Piper wears a muzzle every time we walk through the doors, whether she's getting acupuncture or we're seeing our regular veterinarian for her checkups. During the pandemic, I conditioned Monzo to wear a muzzle. We did a lot when he was a puppy, but it had been a while because he had to go out back, right? We had to do curbside. I couldn't go in with him, and I just couldn't be sure of what was happening and how he was going to respond. So I remember dropping him off for an appointment with his muzzle on, and when he came back out, they took it off. They had taken it off him out back and said he was relaxed and okay. But I liked having the peace of mind knowing that the vet team could feel comfortable and confident handling Monzo without feeling like they had to really use a lot of physical restraint because he was safe and they were safe because of his muzzle, right? So another time when muzzles are really helpful is when you're taking your dog out of the house. So where I live, there's several really nice trail systems, but they're frequented by other dogs, families with children, all kinds of people. And nature is for everyone to enjoy, not just you and your dog, not just me and my dogs. So for me to go out in public with a dog who has the potential to bite without a muzzle is kind of unfair. It's saying that my experience is more important than everyone else's, and it's not. We all deserve to enjoy nature. And so when I go out with Piper, I either have her wear her muzzle or I bring it with me. And here's how I decide what to do. When I'm going to a trail on a beautiful weather day and the parking lot is full of cars, she wears her muzzle. And when I go and maybe it's overcast or rainy and there's no cars or really a small amount of cars, then I bring it with me. And I've taught Piper to feel really comfortable just jumping right into her muzzle and feeling comfortable just putting it on and taking it off quickly. That's something we'll talk about here in a little bit. But it is so helpful to have that tool because without it, her world would be a whole lot smaller. And this is something I really want you to remember as we're trying to take on this responsibility of walking or going out in public with a dog who's wearing a muzzle, is that it gives our dog more opportunity. It improves their quality of life. And that's why we have dogs, is to do fun things with them, to enjoy our time together. And if a muzzle gives you the opportunity to do that, or more opportunities to do that in new and enriching ways, then I say go for it. Like, don't let anything hold you back, especially the stigma of having a dog who wears a muzzle. So another time when a muzzle can be really helpful is if you have friends and family over. Now, my dog Piper doesn't really greet a lot of people in our apartment because we live in a small place. And to be honest, we're not that social. We usually go places. But when she does meet new people, she has her muzzle on. And the reason is I'm not taking any chances. She has bit people before, and she has given warning bites, and I'm very grateful for them. But I'm never going to let it happen again because dogs who bite have the potential for a lot of unfortunate ramifications, right? People get physically hurt. People suffer psychological harm. I've been bit by a dog before, and it was really scary for me. Luckily, I was not harmed, but it left me with a little trauma after that. And I bounced back. Luckily for me, I have a life filled with amazing dogs that were able to help me in recovery. But it's not a pleasant experience. It's scary. And so you want to protect the people coming into your home from that, but you also want to protect your dog as well. Because if they bite, there's legal ramifications there, okay? So it really depends on where you're located. So I won't go over the rules too much about that, but suffice it to say that it's worth it because you don't want to have to make a difficult decision about your dog ever. But you also don't want to Restrict your own quality of life because of your dog, right? So teach your dog to feel comfortable about people coming to your home, but do it safely. And if a muzzle helps you do that, then go for it. So if your dog has ever tried to bite, you think they've tried to bite or they have bitten, then train them to wear a muzzle. You don't have to tell anybody about it. It can be our little secret if you're nervous or if you're afraid of the judgment of others, because it's real. It happens. There's a big stigma out there about walking or going out with a dog who's wearing a muzzle. I see it even in my own neighborhood. It's prevalent everywhere. But the more people who do it, the more we'll change that stigma. Okay. But it can be our little secret. Order a muzzle on Amazon. I'll put some links below. We'll talk about it next, the muzzles that I recommend, and just give it a try. Okay. Just promise me you'll try it. Okay, good. So let's take a moment to talk about the kind of muzzles that I recommend using. Now, there are the fabric or canvas muzzles, what we call like the grooming muzzles, that a lot of vet clinics will use that are, quick, they go quickly on and quickly off. The downside to these is that they really force the dog's mouth shut. And I want a muzzle to only restrict a dog in one way, and that is biting. Now, if your dog is a scavenger and they eat things and that's why you're muzzle training, then that's fine. But by having a muzzle that forces your dog's mouth shut, they're never going to feel comfortable wearing that because it prevents them from being able to pant, prevents them from eating treats or drinking water or freely expressing themselves. And these are all things that are really important for your dog to feel safe. So I really want you to be thinking about, if you're considering muzzle training your dog, which you are because you promised me you'd try it, I want you to get a basket muzzle. And so a basket muzzle literally just looks like a basket that goes over your dog's face. This allows your dog to open their mouth with their normal range of movement, to pant, to drink water, to even eat grass and snow if they want to. And sizing is really important. So I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of talking about, how to appropriately size your dog for the muzzle. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end, but I want you to really consider a muzzle that really restricts your dog in just the one way that you're looking for, whether that is scavenging or biting. So they can pant and regulate their body temperature, and you'll be able to see their face. Now, I'm not going to, lie about it. When you get hit with a basket muzzle, it doesn't feel good. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of a dog trying to bite, but they're wearing their muzzle, it still hurts. So it's not like it's pain-free because it's soft and squishy. It can still hurt, but it does protect all of the legal ramifications of a physical bite. And obviously it's going to prevent bigger injuries from happening, right? Like those punctures and stuff like that. So a basket muzzle is absolutely the way to go. The number one brand that I recommend is by the Company of Animals. It's the Baskerville Ultra. Now, I know it's limited in size, but it is the cheapest and easiest to get your hands on. So don't let any of the big brands or, trying to select the right color hold you back. Just get started. You can always upgrade to a better muzzle later, should you decide that's appropriate for you. So the Baskerville Ultra, I'll put the link in the description below. And the other one I like is the Birdwell. So the big differences here, the Birdwell comes in two sizes. The Baskerville has several other options. And the Baskerville is a softer, more flexible material, and the Birdwell is a hard plastic. So it really just depends on the shape of your dog's face and the reason that you need your dog to have a muzzle on. So I'll put both of those in the descriptions below so you can take a peek at them. So how do we teach a dog to tolerate wearing a muzzle? I've broken it into 3 categories for you to consider. And the first of which is just introducing it, or creating a lot of positive interactions between your dog and the muzzle, because sometimes they already have a negative interaction. So we got to take it slow in the beginning. The first of which is just letting your dog see the muzzle. So what I like to do is hold the muzzle behind my back and then bring it out. And when they look at it, they get a treat. And the muzzle goes behind your back again. And you can repeat this. You bring it into view, they get a treat, it goes away. You bring it into view, they get a treat, it goes away. So what happens is, just on visual, when your dog sees the muzzle, it doesn't immediately come to them, but they get a treat each time. It's a great place to start. From there, what you can do is, if your dog knows the cue touch, you can ask them to touch the muzzle. So you could bring the muzzle out, cue a touch, and then give them a treat. If they don't know touch, when you bring out the muzzle, if they sniff it, give them a treat and put it behind your back again. So we're just trying to get some physical contact with their snout and the muzzle. And then from there, what you can do is hold the muzzle toward the dog and put a treat right in the end so they can poke their nose in to get the treat. Now, what I like to do is let them poke their nose in to take a treat, and then I toss a treat away to allow them the choice to come back. Okay, so just seeing the muzzle, touching the muzzle, and taking a treat from the inside of the muzzle is a great place to start. The second step from that would be increasing the duration or trying to get your dog to hold their nose in the muzzle a little bit longer. But here's the thing, you guys, it has to be their choice. Please don't chase your dog with the muzzle. If your dog brings their nose into the muzzle, that's fabulous. If they back out of the muzzle, that's fine. Please don't follow them with the muzzle because that can cause a lot of steps backwards and we're trying to go forward. So what you can do to increase duration is put some lickable treats either in the muzzle or you can hold some lickable treats in the snout of the muzzle. So you could spray cheese on the inside of the, parts of the basket muzzle so they're sticking their face and they're licking around. Or you could hold a squeeze pouch of peanut butter at the nose so as they're holding their face in there, they're licking some of that goodness as well. If your dog knows the chin rest behavior, which is basically where your dog takes their chin and puts it in the palm of your hand, you can hold the muzzle in your hand and ask your dog to chin rest. This gets a nice calm behavior. You could get a chin rest for a second and treat, 2 seconds, treat, 3 seconds, treat, and so on. The third way I like to increase duration for muzzle wear is with the pattern game 1, 2, 3. I've talked about this a little bit, but basically you count to 3 and on 3 your dog gets a treat. So what you could do is hold out the muzzle. When they put their nose in, you start counting to 3 and on 3 they get a treat. Now you don't have to go 1, 2, 3, but that's perfect in the beginning. To increase duration, don't count longer, just add some space between your count. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're increasing the space between, but the pattern remains the same. Now you've introduced the muzzle, you've increased positive association, you've started to work a little bit on duration. Now it's time to teach your dog to actually wear the muzzle. The first thing I like to try is what I call the muzzle necklace. Now, some dogs won't tolerate this. It's very individual, so try it, but don't feel like you can't abandon it if your dog really isn't up to trying this out. Basically, you just clip the muzzle around their neck so it dangles under their chin like a necklace. And you can treat them and take it off, or you can put on the muzzle necklace and play with your dog. So they're just getting used to having the muzzle attached to their body. The second thing I like to do is I'll close the strap of the muzzle so it's at the greatest length possible. And then I fold the strap over the top of the muzzle or the snout. When your dog puts their face into the basket, then you can fold that strap over their head, give them a treat, and take it off. So they're just getting used to the idea of getting dressed or getting that muzzle placed around their neck. And then the final step is actually putting the muzzle on. Now, like I said earlier, if your dog is moving away, let them. And in fact, one of the things I really like to do is what we call a reset treat. So you do a little muzzle training and you toss a treat away. What does your dog decide to do? Do they take the treat and come right back? Because if they do, they want to play some more. And if they take the treat and walk away, that's an indication that they're a little apprehensive and we have to adjust our training plan so that they can feel successful and enjoy what we're doing a little bit more. So the key here is to really watch for signs of stress. If your dog is yawning or licking their lips, avoiding the muzzle, those more obvious signs will tell you we have to slow down so our dog feels more comfortable with this process. Now, if I've intrigued you and you're ready to get started teaching your dog to feel more comfortable wearing a basket muzzle, then I want you to go to the description below and head over to get our quick start guide on muzzle training. So this will give you several skills and steps to start muzzle training your dog today, even if you don't have a muzzle just yet. So I'll put the link in the description below. So go check it out and you can get our muzzle training quick start guide. So myself and a colleague over at Misbehavior Training, Laura Gendron, we partnered to create this course. It's called Muzzle Masters. Start to finish, it's coaching and all of the lessons you need to teach your dog to really enjoy wearing their basket muzzle. That course isn't open, but if you head over and grab the quick start guide, you'll have the opportunity to get on our wait list as well. Thank you so much, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions about your dog's behavior or muzzle training, drop it in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you. Well, please tell your dog I said hello, give them a treat for me, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye for now.